It's over, guys. Oh my god, it's over. Oh my god, it's over. It's over. Guys, JJK is finally, officially over. Okay, it's been finished for a while now, but I'm finally getting around to talking about it. I read it when it came out. It was pretty good. Nothing special, but it was nice to have. It was a little ending off token here. And I got things to talk about today. We got things to talk about. But before we get into the actual meat of what was shown within the chapter, we got Gege's last words here. You can see it here. And it was pretty nice, basically saying this is the end. It's over. JJK is actually over. I wasn't just trolling at the beginning. He's finished with it. There's not going to be a Jujutsu Kaisen Shippuden or whatever everyone was talking about. People were hoping there's going to be like a sequel or something. It doesn't look like that's the case. Looks like it's finished. It's gone for good. But it's a very nice last sentiment. He said like a lot more than this. If you want to read it, go read the whole thing. It's at the end of the chapter. Support the official release. Okay, but yeah, this is a nice sentiment to leave off. He basically just thanked everyone, whether you read it from the beginning or you just tuned in for whatever section, or if you were hate watching. He's supported everyone. So it was a nice sentiment to leave off of. But we need to talk about the chapter. What was so special about this ending chapter? Really not that much. A lot of it wasn't really that important. It was kind of just a little cherry on top for some of the characters that you either cared about or didn't really care about. But I don't want to just recap the whole thing. There's like a million YouTube videos that have done that already, and that's not really what I do anyways. But there are kind of two things I really want to touch on. One thing, actually, but we'll get into it. So we're going to start with the least interesting aspects of the chapter that I felt personally, and then we're going to move on to the aspects that I really want to touch on a little bit more. So stay with me, stay along for the ride. You know your boy's going to take care of you. And let's begin with this, not in order of, you already know the gist. We're going in the order I want to go in. You're going to follow me, all right? So starting off with this one. All right, so this first epilogue that we're going to be talking about actually has to do with Panda and Yuta's kids. None really too special within this chapter. We just know that it's like 35 years later. Yuta has kids now. You don't know who the mother is, but look at the face of this demon right here. We all know whose kid that is. So for any of you shippers out there who really wanted to see like if it actually happened, yes, it did actually happen. So you have your cake and now you can eat it too. It also showed a little bit about Panda. Yuta is like the owner of the Gojo clan arsenal. What did they call it? Yeah, the Gojo family storage. That's what it was called, not the arsenal. I don't know what I'm talking about. I do wonder because I I know Gojo did have Toji's inverted spear of heaven. So now I wonder if Yuta and vicariously Maki and her children also have the inverted sphere of heaven. I don't know, a little something to chew on. That's kind of interesting, but overall, nothing too special. Panda looks like he's just Panda doing Panda things. And then we'll move on to the second epilogue here. So this epilogue here, Nobara finally meets her mother. Not too special here. We didn't really care about Nobara's mother, but it did kind of hit on some important aspects that was kind of theorized to happen with like Nobara's lineage. Nobara is very talented. Nobara also has cursed techniques. So now we know that her family does have like a lineage of cursed energy or oh my god. Oh, oh my god. How did I forget? How did I forget? How did I forget? What are they called? Exorcists? No. We're gonna call them soldiers. We're gonna call them soldiers because I forgot what they're called. Her family is a long line of soldiers, and her mother apparently was not good at that. It wasn't until she said herself that she didn't really have like the stuff for it. She wasn't really made for that kind of life. She would rather be an actual deadbeat. We all made fun of Toji. We all made fun of Toji for being a deadbeat or whatever. But the real deadbeat, the Jujutsu Kaisen deadbeat, the special grade deadbeat was Nobara's mother. Fuck that bitch. And Nobara's mother is, I mean, she's living the good life, I guess. She is, I guess, looks young enough to kind of get with like younger, more richer men, and then she just spends their money like basically living the life or whatever. And I don't know, like her like grandma comes in and scares the hell out of her. It was pretty funny nonetheless. Now we're getting into the chapters that I care a lot more about. This second to last chapter has to do with Urame, and I really did kind of like this epilogue here. I call it a chapter, more on epilogue. I kind of did like it because we don't really know much about Urame throughout this entire series. I mean, we knew like just like the smallest sliver, like basically a big fan of Sukuna. Basically, he's like right hand man or whatever. Really close. They have a kind of closeness that like Sukuna doesn't really have with any other character within the show. And then we see Sukuna leave with Urame in the afterlife after he talks to Mahito. Very interesting, but that's all we really knew about Urame. And then in this epilogue, it kind of goes deeper into Urame, into her character, into kind of where this kind of bond came in. And it shows, it's kind of dark actually. It shows Urame with like dead, like corpses around her. And then Sukuna just pops up and is like, what's going on? And then I think Urame kind of explains like, yeah, I freeze everything around me. That's just her ability. She freezes everything. She just freezes everyone to death. And then Sukuna's, follow me, young Jet. And then what is Urame gonna do? Not follow Sukuna? She follows around Sukuna. And then it doesn't really expound on it too much. Obviously, these epilogues are very short, but it does kind of show a more human side to Sukuna. Because throughout the entire series, we know Sukuna, we know his mindset, his mind space with like his leading philosophy in life is strength, and that he kind of it appears that he leads the life of curses, but as we can see with how he treats Jogo and Jogo's ideology, he's not really, because he's neither curse nor is he like human. He's kind of within that like gray area that like Yuji kind of has to pull him out of. But here it's nice, it shows that a little bit nicer, because Urame asks him like, why are you not cold when you're next to me? And then Sukuna has, kind of a witty, kind of an emotional response like, why do you not get cold when you're by me? Obviously, Sukuna doesn't have any ice powers like Urame has. It's more of an emotional connection. I really liked it. It was nice. I enjoyed reading it. Nothing like crazy. We didn't get nothing like, oh my god, their characters have been refined to a level that rivals One Piece or no. But it was nice to have. But now that the 3 chapters, we've kind of glossed over them, I want to get to more of the substance within this video, and that is the first epilogue that has to do with Yuji and Ozawa. Is that her name? I'm gonna call her Ozawa. I don't care if I'm pronouncing it wrong. You're just gonna have to deal with it, all right? Because I run this show. I do whatever I want to do, and you're gonna watch me do whatever I want to do. Okay, I'm being way too aggressive right now. But now I want to kind of get into like the serious narrative aspect of what's going on right now. The first chapter starts off with this epilogue, which with Yuji is kind of like a flashback where Yuji and Ozawa are both younger, and then she asks the question of, do you like snow? And Yuji remarks, yeah, I do kind of like snow. He calls it special to him. It's a special feeling to him. And I actually never thought about this before prior to this epilogue chapter, but Yuji is kind of associated with snow. And I'm not going to dive too deep into it right now, because I want to talk about it a little bit more before I actually do some reading and research into like, what the hell does that even mean? After this, it goes into like the main timeline where Ozawa runs into Yuji, and then she's like, oh my god, like you're in Shibuya, like you're like in the middle of the explosion. He's like, oh my god, aren't you like in the middle of the whole thing? Like, you're okay? And he's like, yeah, he's chilling. Obviously, in both, whichever case, he was kind of like the center figure of the entire situation, kind of leading the charge. And Gojo was whatever. You get what I'm saying. But nothing's too special about that until finally they remark on that same question that where Ozawa asks like, do you still like snow? And Yuji remarks, yeah, it's mysteriously special to him. And then Ozawa, in a very kind of nice, kind of romantic way, I mean, she says like she likes snow too, especially when it piles up, but in her mind she's saying snow reminds her of someone very special to her, someone who's very bright, and just someone that she just cares for. Obviously, this person is Yuji. She has a crush on Yuji, but we can clearly see that not only is Yuji compared or like given allusions to snow throughout the entire story, but Ozawa also sees him as like in relation to this snow. It reminds him of snow, and it made me wonder, what is this deal with snow? We've seen it primarily 3 times now throughout the story. One, everyone knows this, when he was chasing down Mahito, when it was kind of like the wolf and the bunny imagery where they were kind of running through the snow. The second one was in Sukuna's domain, I believe. And then this is now the third mention of, Yuji and like his peripherals with snow. What the hell does this mean? Why snow? I don't know anything about snow. It's not something that's like really like on the nose about, like, because I know authors like to tie in elements like real world elements or symbolisms to characters, but snow is not really one I know of. So I'm gonna do some reading here, and I want to see what's going on. Like, what does this exemplify for Yuji, and why does it even matter to like his character? So I'm gonna do it real quick here. Okay, I'm back. There wasn't a lot actually I could find, at least nothing that was like really in like high regards, like a peer reviewed source or anything like that. But I was able to find at least 2 sources that gave like actual descriptive things about what snow represents. And here we have this first one on this site where it basically alludes to snow and its like magical kind of whimsical sense, if you want to call it. It relates it to things like obviously Narnia and Narnia and the Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe. But we can all kind of see that I don't think that's what it means to exemplify in Yuji. This is one piece of symbolism that it could be used for, and I'm sure authors do use it in this case, but I don't think it represents Yuji, because anything magical within Yuji, or within the story, or I guess peripheral to Yuji, is cursed energy. But if that was the case, then cursed energy would be experienced as snow, but it's not. It's Yuji in specific. While it is like something that like can be used in writing, I don't think it's used to exemplify Yuji's case. But this second source right here kind of gives us an even better look, because it gives us not 1, not 2, but 3 different representations of what snow could mean in a symbolic view. One of the first symbolisms that you can read throughout this importance is the view of snow and its strong symbol for death. Could this relate to Yuji in some case? Yes. We do see this primarily in his first showing with Snow. One is that when he was fighting Mahito and Mahito was running away, obviously in that scene, there was a lot of snow represented around Yuji, and Yuji being the wolf chasing down Mahito, the injured bunny, obviously to kill Mahito. That is one very powerful thing. I do believe that is one simple solution that could fit into Yuji's character in the representation for Snow, but it is not the only thing that could fall within that, because it is not the only thing that can fall within that category when we think about Snow. For example, down here, it goes down to Snow as purity and innocence, and it gives example of J.D. Salinger and how basically he saw Snow as a new hope or beginning after the events of World War II. This is actually very applicable to his character as well. When I see it in terms of maybe not so much against the fight with Mahito, but when I see it within the domain or within this recent epilogue, Yuji is kind of shown to be kind of a pure character, and even innocent in regard, even though he himself does not view himself as innocent. Kind of like when he was fighting against Higuruma, and he kind of took the blame for all the deaths that Sukuna had caused when he was within his body. But regardless of how he views himself, how other people view him is kind of a source of purity and innocence. Maybe why Gojo even liked Yuji to a pretty wide margin, having the conversation he did in the flashback that we see at the end of Jujutsu Kaisen, but obviously to Ozawa as well. Ozawa obviously likes Yuji, obviously sees Yuji in this light for him being so kind to her, especially when she didn't meet the physical beauty standards that basically the society at that point had set up, but Yuji did not really care and still reciprocated those feelings to a certain extent. But while I do think it's a really good one, there's one more piece of symbolism that we have to talk about, and that is tranquility and serenity. Now, this may sound like really good and virtuous things, but within this paper, it shows that tranquility and serenity is kind of a double-edged sword. It is used to show the world in both a positive and a negative light. we can see this because it kind of harbors onto the previous two examples that I showed to as well. I'm sure that Ozawa also sees them as a piece of tranquility and serenity in a positive light, while perhaps Sukuna, when he was when they were kind of having that bonding moment within their when they were talking and there was snow around him, kind of saw that tranquility and serenity in a negative sense. So which is it? Which of these three symbols of snow represents Yuji? Well, that's kind of a trick question because I don't think only one fits Yuji. For example, the peaceful, tranquil, innocent symbols that we see for Yuji are applicable within the two examples for both a positive or a negative light, but not really so much within the Mahito example. There was nothing peaceful or innocent or tranquil about that situation. It was clearly meant to symbolize coldness, the harshness, the death, the coming of Mahito's death, which does not fit within these previous categories. But that same death category, it goes both ways, doesn't really fit into the other two things. And that symbol for death wouldn't really be applicable to how Ozawa sees Yuji, because clearly she doesn't see Yuji like, oh my god, look at this death monster Leatherface over here. I love him so much, so bright. No. So I think they're all meant to represent Yuji minus the magic one. I think all three of them are meant to represent Yuji, and I think they're very circumstantial into what they represent, because Yuji can definitely be all three of these things. Yuji can be pure, can be innocent, he can be tranquil, and both a positive and a negative sense, and he can definitely kill. He has done so before. He's aided with Nobara when they were fighting Etsu and Chetsu. I don't remember his name or how to pronounce it, but he definitely fits all three of these categories. So I think that's what the snow for Yuji is meant to represent. It's nothing I really thought of before these chapters, and a lot of people may not like this last epilogue chapter because a lot of it was kind of, not that important, but it made me personally see a new element to the story that I hadn't previously considered. This whole snow thing never had crossed my mind. I never thought of it. I'm sure many of you had never thought of it either, but now we saw it. I enjoyed JJK thoroughly. You already know this. This last chapter, I enjoyed it as well. Some epilogues a little bit more than others, but I still did enjoy it, and I'm very happy that it came out. I'm happy that we were able to talk about it. And that is the last new thing that JJK is going to produce for us. It's bittersweet in a way. I'm happy. I'm sad that it's gone, but I'm happy that it happened, But just because nothing new in JJK is being produced by Gege doesn't mean that there's nothing left to talk about in JJK. I definitely still have topics in mind, and I will definitely be working on them whenever I get the opportunity to. But that is it for this video. If you enjoyed, you already know what to do. Make sure to like, subscribe. We got the whole thing. Comment anything you want me to talk about. I have ideas in mind, but we'll see. Some cleanup before I go. Remember, this is the second video. One more video, then y'all gotta take the poll. Anyways, like I said, that's all I got for y'all. Peace out and have a great day.